like a sensitive one. All the Ibanez guitars have good trems on them. They stay in tune quite well. Strats do. I find the saddles though can kind of make the strings fall out of tune a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about gear and what I like to do with my amps and whatnot. So,
maybe just before you get to that one too, one thing I was just clicking into my old brain is when he's doing his licks, when he did the blues there with Lee and it sounded like B.B. King, what he's doing is he's taking the note and he's cheating a little bit, which is a good thing because Chuck Berry cheated all the time. If you're, say you're in the key of G and he's playing his little run like now, instead of going to that two-step note, you can bend it. I can't bend it with this guitar, but there's two ways to play the notes. So if you're playing notes, you can go or you can bend. You can go. This doesn't bend. So and bend up, which cheats a little bit and lets you go faster.
Yeah, like bending. All it is like, for example, if I'm in G and I want to hit this note, but I want to bend to it, I just bend. It's 2 frets, and then there's a quarter bend, which is just 1 fret, so a semitone. I also another really important technique is vibrato. Now, there's 2 terms, vibrato and tremolo, and they're often confused amongst guitar players. Tremolo is the fluctuation in pitch, and vibrato is the fluctuation in volume. A lot of people think it's pitch. Guitar players will refer to it as vibrato, but it's I know this from singing because there's 2 terms for it. So let me show you. That's tremolo, and this is also known as a tremolo bar. That's because I can go. And now for volume, I would actually do that with the knob for vibrato. That's vibrato. But you'll always hear tremolo. Now there's 3 types of vibrato. There's slow, medium, and fast. So I prefer whatever the song calls for. So, you know, if I'm playing Little Wing, I'm not doing a very fast vibrato like it's a little bit too drastic for the song. Like if I'm playing a slow song, just to refresh everyone's memory, this is minor blues now. This is strictly 1-4-5 using all minor chords. So you cannot play a major pentatonic. You can only play the... Dan will know this. See how the vibrato suits the song? Not too fast, not too slow. And the fluctuation isn't too large where it sounds like it's just way out of tune.
One trick too that Kristen is going to probably, maybe I'm cutting you out here, but for string gauges.
Yes, I was going to talk.
You're going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So gear-wise, I prefer Gibsons or PRS, Fenders. I love them all. I like PRS because they can kind of do everything, and they're quite comfy for me. They suit me well. So these are humbuckers. They have more output than single coils. Amp-wise,
when he's talking double coils on a Stratocaster, for instance, you'll see there'll be normally 3 pickups, and they have a 5-position switch. So when you have that
guitar over there, those are all single coils.
Yeah, hanging on the wall. So when you push your little 3-way switch to the front, you have the front pickup. When you pull it to the 2nd position, you have these 2. When you have it in the middle, you have all three. In the back, you have the two, and when you're in the last pickup, you have the usually the lead position.
Yeah.
You want to
So
grab that
the difference between
So these make it real simple. So with this one, it's a 3 pickup, 3 single coils, and when you have it in that position, if everybody can see that, that's this pickup. The next one there are these 2. The middle one is all 3. Back here is more treble. The farther back you go, a harsher sound.
Lou doesn't know any of this stuff. He's still new to it.
He's still in position 1.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay.
So when I play lead, I usually play it on the treble pickup. So this one right here, it adds a little bit of aggression, and it cuts through. But a lot of, like I find this with metal players, what they like to do is scoop all the mids, and then they'll use this pickup instead for leads. And then this one for playing chords. But that's what they like to do, because it adds a thicker sound for the thinner sounding strings. So amp-wise, I usually I like to throw mids over treble. It gives it more of a warmer sound. I really like to avoid the piercing sound of amps. Like, I don't like that really super high treble-y sound, especially for live settings. I find people will get ear fatigued quite quickly. They won't really want to listen. And I also don't want it too muddy either. I don't want notes to ring off each other. Even this right now. So I pretty much I find the medium for me. So the amp sounds thick, but it's not too thin either. It's not too thick where, like when I'm doing sweep picking stuff, it doesn't sound cloudy. There's 4 knobs for your EQ section on an amp. You have your treble, your mids, your bass, and your presence. The treble and presence knob, they play off each other. The presence adds the brilliance and the high to the amp, and it also adds a little bit of the punch. Treble is obviously the high end of the spectrum. You have to picture it from left to right. You picture a straight line. Here's bass, this is mids, and this is treble. And now when you turn a bass, the bass, mids, or whatever knob on your amp, you're adding to that frequency. So the straight line, now there's a hump in it where you turn the bass knob up, you turn the mids up, or you scoop them, you turn them down, like a metal player, or for metal, you would see like a smiley face or a V type of EQ. So that's how that works, and it's just all to do with sound, and it also has a lot to do with feel. People get the impression that it's all about the guitar, where the feel is. The amp has a large part with that, as in you can take any amp and put a heavy scoop on it. I mean, you take all the mids out, and it feels really spongy, like it's almost bouncy. It's hard to describe it. You could try it out. Any amp is different. So I'll just dial it up really quickly on the. You can actually see what the EQ, and you'll see the shape and how the sound changes.
Find that there's a big difference between the amps in terms of that one particular method of it. They tend to have a hard clip versus some that have a soft clip.
I usually find like that's more for like gain structure, like for clipping. But honestly, the hardest amp to play on in the store, and like it's one of the greatest sounding amps, is that amp right there. It sounds fantastic, but it's also very hard to play on. It's like a old plexi style amp, and it's all I can remember from plugging into it is like there's nothing to hide behind on it. It's all you. You can hear this is a scoop